Hello everyone, Drevis here, and today we're VOD reviewing FILLIE, the epitome of Yoshi, North Carolina, potentially the best Yoshi in the state. This should be a league up from the Yoshis we've been VOD reviewing so far. FILLIE and Choco are definitely the top two Yoshis, and me VOD reviewing FILLIE is intrinsically interesting. I guess you could consider FILLIE and Choco to be rivals, and I am in the same sub-region as Chococroc. In fact, Chococroc's existence is the reason I'm VOD reviewing all these Yoshis in the first place. Which makes me VOD reviewing his rival, FILLIE, a bit more interesting in my opinion. I think they actually play very differently, so I'm excited to see a perspective of Yoshi that I don't think I always get to see. This is also going to be a little interesting because I believe it was Alex AWG we VOD reviewed against MF Joe. So we're going to see how FILLIE's able to do against the same Falco that Alex AWG lost to. Should already be, yep, it's already in the speed. But I'm very excited to watch this. Let's get started. So both players get down. Laser at start is going to force the shield. Nothing too significant so far. Is able to down air, tries getting the punish. So that down air is interesting because not only was it something that could potentially punish that laser, but it also covered the overshoot. So something I noticed from watching, this is actually my second attempt watching FILLIE. I wasn't too happy with how the first one went, so I wanted to try again. But I did notice that FILLIE is not a stranger to overshooting and will use a lot of lingering options to overshoot. And this is definitely a showcase of that. Combos it into jab. I wonder what's going to happen here. Goes for the F smash. MF Joe goes for the high side B. I did acknowledge in the past MF Joe definitely has some particular side B habits, but it seems like here maybe it has to do with how much he respects his opponent, or if he thinks that the opponent is capable, or maybe it has something to do with the visual cue that FILLIE was indicating, basically indicating I'm ready to punish, and I'm ready to punish his side B is basically what FILLIE was saying with his positioning, and MF Joe's like, okay, I will not recover that way then. So it's either positional based or MF Joe just inherently knows FILLIE is a player capable of covering the side B. The dash shield, this is very strong, so I think a lot of Yoshis would just go for the aerial here. But the dash shield, so MF Joe is going for the interception, but the layer 2 to that is effectively dash shielding. I think dash shielding with Yoshi, because a lot of people might try to fight Yoshi by walling him out, and shielding is a great way of dealing with that, and this is a similar concept. The forward air, though, is interesting. I don't know if that was a misinput or a misjudgment. I'm a little surprised about that, but the initial shield was very strong. Goes for the walling back air, shield afterwards. We established in previous VOD reviews that Yoshi either likes to shield or likes to attack again most of the time after whiffing something or any kind of shield pressure, etc. It's kind of a 50-50 a lot of the time between those two options. Tries to nair, just a little bit too safe. I will say FILLIE had, it wasn't the perfect example here, but I know for a fact FILLIE has good shield pressure awareness based off the last set I VOD reviewed. Goes for the downer. He sees that it's not safe, so he pulls back. Funny enough, if the opponent really wanted to, they could punish the pullback if they read it, but if that would actually lose too if Yoshi just didn't pull back, so it's kind of like a 50-50 sort of. Goes for the back air, shields again, just repositions behind the opponent. Goes for an egg. That's definitely an interesting egg. That was actually good on MF Joe to dash shield, but that's a surprising egg. I'm not sure what that accomplishes. Double jump. Just go to, yep, just be safe. Shield is a safe thing to do on the platform. Sees an opportunity to jump. Makes it look like he's going to land to the corner, but he actually double jumps instead. He's double jumping away. He's able to react to see if Falco's trying to cover or not, and then he's able to not do a panic option while landing because there's no reason to if the opponent's not running at you. Shields for a split second, able to reposition seamlessly out of shield. That was a beautiful whiff punish. Goes for up smash. I did see him go for up smash a lot out of egg. I will say, be a little careful. I don't know. So now that this happens, it's important. Next egg lay is going to be important for me to see if he does the up smash again or not. Because up smash is punishable. I know that up smash is his go-to, but let's see if he's willing to change it upon it not working. But a little Falco combo. The ground pound's going to work. Unfortunately, it's not going to break shield or anything. But going for ground pound is a great mix-up when you're getting comboed. He has a really good idea of offensive shielding. So offensive shielding is a concept where you go to where you think someone is going to attack, and then you, instead of like doing something like, you basically dash and shield where you think someone's attacking at. And I think that concept is very important for Yoshi just because, one, his nair out of shield is really good, and two, that plays really well around a lot of methods that people use to play around Yoshi. MF Joe went for a high side B last time, so that forwarder makes sense with that concept, or with that context. But MF Joe going back to layer 1 or going to layer 3, however you want to think about it, and just side being mid-distance. I don't know if MF Joe knew he was going to go for the jump read. Maybe he was just trying to stay a step ahead, or maybe it was just more of like, oh, I think he's going to try to edge guard me in some way. I'm just going to go for this. Most people are going to expect Falco to side B towards the ledge, so I'm just going to side B towards stage to throw him off guard. I don't know what was going through his mind. Tries to punish. This time he goes for the F tilt. So he went for shield the first 2 times. He went for attack third. But, funny enough, shield actually would have worked here. But you want to mix up the 50-50s. Yep, just an egg towards the ledge. No reason not to do that. Going for the forward air. I feel like I'm a little surprised. I think maybe what he was thinking is that Falco is going to retreat either to roll distance or to the platform for ledge trapping. So he was trying to like read that. But that basically lost him just staying at center or corner and intercepting. Gets the nair. That was actually a really good edge guard. I'm pretty sure FILLIE wins this game, but that is how you edge guard Yoshi. And with Yoshi, it's probably important to have a good idea of what characters can like what ranges you can safely egg in, where it's like effectively guaranteed that you won't get edge guarded, like the opponent cannot go out there far enough. But that is a beautiful way to cover Yoshi. He goes with the forwarder. I mean, why not? You're invincible. And it catches his jump out of shield. Oh, he connects the forwarder. He gets that stock right away. But that does beat the side B to ledge, which MF Joe is known for. That's definitely sneaky, because he's going off stage, so a lot of people don't expect going off stage. Yeah, sorry. I just got back from a tournament, so I'm actually my stamina is a little cooked. But when someone is in the corner, moving like backwards movement is generally not predicted. So a lot of people will play around with corner pressure with a mentality of, oh, the opponent has to move in towards center stage, so as long as I'm just covering forward movement, everything is fine. And the whole reason being in the corner is bad is because you can't move backwards. But with most characters, sometimes like there's kind of 2 ways to do it. You can either run off stage and double jump back on with something, and sometimes that's a great way to whiff punish something. Like you can simulate a dash back whiff punish by doing that. Or you can full hop, but full hop backwards and then weave in. Those are 2 very strong mix-ups in the corner. And Yoshi can go off stage faster than most characters, and he double jump back on. So his double jump back on the stage, I'm thinking of a way to explain this. Basically, the range in which you can double jump back onto stage in a fast motion is much higher for Yoshi than other characters. Because you can go all the way down there and then instantly come back up with a hitbox. Most characters cannot go as low as Yoshi just did. Funny enough, Falco might be one of those exceptions, but Falco doesn't have the airspeed to take as much use out of it. But going for the downer can be a strong option because, again, it lingers for such a long time. It can shield poke, and it does a lot of shield damage. And he's going to shield afterwards, which is going to work. So shielding afterwards seems to be a very strong option as Yoshi after whiffing almost anything. That's something we've seen consistently amongst all of the Yoshis we've been VOD reviewing, both mid-level and top-level and high-level. Giving up space here. Falco goes for something aggressive, but now FILLIE is giving up space. Tries with punishing with the egg. Goes for another forward air. Tries going for the grab. Grab can be surprisingly good at kind of like it's almost kind of like a wall in a way. Grab has very strong priority, so it will basically, and because it's so big with Yoshi being a tether grab, both that and egg lay can kind of help protect Yoshi. It's kind of like don't come at me. And I think he was able. Falco's forward air is like, it comes out fast, but he started from far enough away that he was able to react to be like, oh, if you come closer with a forward air, you're getting hit. He tries a similar double jump mix up, but because MFJo backs up, he just repositions. Goes for the down air again, drifts back. So that seems like a decent option in neutral. And again, if you can react while doing it and decide if you want to be aggressive with it, pressure shield with it, or if needed, just fade back and reset neutral. Goes for the back air. Tries connecting the other back air. It's not a true combo, but MFJo doesn't shield, so it basically hits. The dash attack is interesting here. I think he's trying to use the linger of that to catch the a lot of options people will do to land here. And I think that could stuff out some certain attacks, but also just the linger. Like, honestly, that wasn't that far off from covering the edge guard or covering the air dodge. Tries going for the egg. Going for the egg preemptively against Falco's side B makes sense, as that, like, low-key, this egg almost hit. Goes for the forward air. Goes for shield nair. I think a lot of people would go for like a double jump option against the whipped forward air, so I think FILLIE was playing with that in mind. But MFJo's just going to roll instead. Goes for the reverse egg lay, which is probably a good mix-up. Double jump, and because he's invincible on the way up, he's able to nair. That makes sense. Yoshi can probably double jump in situations like that and just simply react. And if he reacts accordingly, he gets he could decide his option. Like, he could decide if he wants to counter the hit with a nair like FILLIE just did. He could probably like air dodge in some way, or reposition in some way, or egg in some way, or whatever he feels like he needs to do, depending on what happens. Because he's invincible on the way up, so he can go on the way up, react, and before he gets to the point where he's not invincible anymore, he can choose his next option accordingly, I think. Connects a smash. Let me remember the context. Was that just off the neutral air? Oh, that was just off mistech. He always likes to dash shield. So he dash shields. When the opponent gets hit in a certain way, he dash shields into a place where they might attack. And he sees him on the platform. He's like, oh, I can maybe full up near this. It doesn't work, but doesn't get punished for it. Side B catches him off guard, but it's not too rewarding for Falco unless you hit it at a percent that you can combo into back air. So he's chilling. Just going to reset neutral. Goes for the dash, the jump back. He's able to react and reposition. Gets lasered. Being lasered doesn't matter. The grabs really do seem like almost like an interception, I guess. Like, it really does stuff out a surprising amount of approaches. Goes for back throw. Goes for the egg. Good coverage. Ooh, just barely doesn't hit that. But that was good. So sometimes against Falco, you can go for the egg. So going for the egg makes sense. I like the fact that he got it to bounce to extend it a little bit. He goes for the forwarder, which would have covered a really early side B, and then he sees that it doesn't hit, and he's able to cover the late side B with the down tilt. And then he goes for the forwarder. By the way, MFJ would really benefit from doing these up Bs instead of side Bs a little bit more. If he side B, actually would have died here. But he takes a little longer than I see most high level Falcos before doing like the up B mix up before grabbing ledge. But Yoshi, with his double jump, is able to be that low and get back onto stage so fast with that double jump, even with the egg, that he's able to get back onto an okay position. He's almost even punishes a roll from here. Just barely does. I'm actually a little surprised it didn't work. That one of Yoshi's weaknesses, though, is even though he gets back to stage really quickly, he is a floaty, so he falls kind of slow. So he wasn't able to get to the ground in time. And he gets punished for it. Goes for the down air. The down air seems good at walling people out. And then I think he could have canceled into something else, and he can mix up the drift and everything. Down air seems strong with Yoshi disadvantage sometimes, because it kind of acts as like a constant hitbox. And if the opponent tries juggling in specific ways, they might lose out to it. And you can mix up your... You have a lot of flexibility with like mixing up your drift and everything. And if you do it at a certain height, I think you can act again before touching the ground. Goes for rolling back air. Goes for a more aggressive back air, but it gets intercepted. This is a little closer than I expected it to be. But MFJ did beat Alex AWG, so he's definitely not bad at this matchup. But it gets double jumped. And beautiful up smash to cover the platform. Up smash is so good at covering the platform. But against Yoshi, you definitely just want to give him a lot of space a lot when he's recovering. The only weakness is that, like, if you give him too much space while he's double jumping back onto stage, he can just, like, kind of be like, okay, I'm just not going to be aggressive here. But a lot of Yoshis just double jump in with an aerial or something. And if you just dash back, not even towards center, just, like, dash towards, like, the left side of the right platform, you could be in position to still pressure Yoshi, especially when he gets to the point where he's on the way down instead of being on the way up. But a lot of people, like, MF Joe keeps getting countered because he keeps trying to intercept FILLIE on the way up. But Yoshi's not a character that works like that. Good mix-up. Yoshi, the directional air dodge with Yoshi could be paired well just because Yoshi's airspeed is so high that he can, like, directional air dodge. Like, some directional air dodges are really strong if you can, like, go really far in one direction and just completely reverse momentum in the other direction. And Yoshi's airspeed kind of boosts those directional air dodges just because he's moving so fast initially. And it's such a jarring change. Ooh, covering the full up with the down air. That makes sense, actually. I could see down air being the primary method of covering full hops for Yoshi. Combos it into up air. 2 up airs. A lot of damage. A little egg to cover the left side of the platform. And then a shield because, of course, MFJ is going to do an aerial on the way down. But at least MFJ faded it back. Very smart of him to do that. Throws out an egg. I'm a little surprised FILLIE throws out random eggs in neutral a lot more than most Yoshis do, though. Ooh, interesting. Alright, let's review that. I got a little lazy. Goes for the up tilt, so kind of like playing the 50-50 if I'm either going to attack or shield after this. Dash shield does seem like a good counter to that 50-50. That's something I'm going to keep in mind against all the Yoshis I may or may not fight against. But he's able to roll out in time. And he tries to intercept with Nair because he knows MFJ is going to close in on the roll. But it trades. But a favorable trade for FILLIE. Goes for the forward air. Fades it back slightly. MF Joe tries to punish. I think MF Joe didn't catch that he's able to fade back and just at the last minute. And able to counter that with down tilt. Goes for the backer here. Ooh, that was fancy. That was really fancy. So let's review some again. I think he's just trying to whiff punish out with back air. I don't know if he knew that Falco was able to shield after that. But MFJ goes for a parry, which I've said in a lot of other views already. I don't think parries are super, super useful against Yoshi. Sometimes if you think Yoshi's going to forward air, it can be, but generally, or he's like narrowing in or something. But generally speaking, his back air and down air and everything, like, he has so many multi-hits, and forward air is kind of hard because there's a bit of delay first. I don't recommend doing too many pairs against Yoshi. But he goes for the egg, and the egg kind of... It really doesn't make that big of a difference, but I can see how the threat, having any threat off stage, is going to make Falco recover a more antsy, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. He's going to, out of stress, he's going to recover in a way that, in a more antsy way, I guess. There's a word I'm looking for, but I can't think of it right now. But he's going to recover in a more anxious way, because there is any threat out there. So he's more likely to go for like a slightly riskier mix-up. So the egg is already layer 1, but he's threatening going off stage for 2. So he's like, okay. And Falco's counter to Yoshi going off stage is like, oh, I'm going to intercept him with a side B or something. Like, instead of side B to ledge, I'm going to side B in a way that intercepts. So Yoshi's presence is like, oh, I am going to go off stage and pressure you. So Falco's like, oh, I need to recover high with a side B now. But then he reverses it and almost gets this F smash. That would have been one of the best plays I've ever seen from a Yoshi, period. In fact, I'll say it, FILLIE, if you're watching, I actually don't know how much you care about the whole comparison. I don't know if you think it, I don't know what you think about it, but I will say, I do not see Choker Croc go for setups quite like this. That was definitely one, I know it didn't pan out, but the idea was there and it almost worked. That was one of the coolest ideas I've seen from a Yoshi. In fact, when I play Yoshi, I'm going to try to do something similar. But you're going to shield afterwards and then jump out of shield. I'm assuming that was a misinput. I don't know if you meant to be reverse or what. Or maybe that was supposed to be an egg. I misinputted egg lane instead of up B multiple times. But I think Yoshi does have a lot more flexibility with like jumping off stage just because of double jump armor, and how fast he can get back onto stage and etc. Goes for a double jump. Ooh, I like that. I like that positional thing. Because you're able to double jump from ledge, you make it look like you're gonna go in, but then you actually fade back, and then you fade back in again with a forward air. It's kind of the same concept with like just jumping backwards and then jumping back in. That was definitely really creative to do. You did get it was a little fortunate you get hit by up smash there. But you're gonna be able to roll in, jab that, go for the egg again. Probably down tilt. Oh, I mean, that works too. That was very creative. Ooh. I'm a little surprised about the forward air. That was definitely interesting. I think you just predicted that Falco was going to full hop or something to the platform, which is fair. Walling back air. I don't think you reacted to Falco being above you in this time. So you're thinking that Falco is going to run in. So you're like, okay, I'm going to intercept a back air. And then you see Falco landing, you're like, oh, he's going to land with an aerial and fade back, which he's been doing the entire time. So that F smash makes sense, and I think that's actually a smart F smash. It just so happened that this time MFJo did not fade in. Interesting. I think you're just knowing that he's going to try to go in with something, and you can maybe trade it with an F smash and win the game here. But definitely very interesting. And you're like, oh shit, he's going to try to fight me right away. MFJo's been it's actually weird. MFJo has generally been trying to attack you a lot. Like, oh, you whiff something, he's going to hold forward and press the A button. But in these critical moments, he's good about holding back. Almost surprisingly so. But that is going to get you punished. The ground pound does make sense. I could see ground pound being a good option for Yoshi if you think someone's going to try to punish you right away after whiffing something. Obviously shielding and or like doing a tilt with Yoshi, whether it's up tilt or F tilt or maybe even down tilt or jab. Basically any non-dash attack ground or smash. Any of his 3 tilts or jab after whiffing something or shield is definitely the stronger 50-50. But ground pound, especially at kill percent, can be really strong. But it's definitely riskier. Goes for the forward air. I like the delay on that. You delay it, You're able to, once you pressure shield on a platform, that's actually something that's not even Yoshi. Although Yoshi's up here is really good at applying it, but that's probably something I should keep in mind as well. Because if you pressure someone on a platform, and it's like safe, like you space enough that they can't punish you, just dropping off the platform and doing something is probably a really strong option. For some reason, I feel like that feels unsafe to me, so I don't do it. But that makes sense that you would be able to, because they can't join you. I think the thing is like I don't have it in my head that like, oh, they're shielding on a platform, so they can't go under the platform in time. Like they have to go through shield drop, which is unrealistic for them to do in that close quarter situation. Goes in for the nair. I think you're just trying to punish a downer there. Try to cover yourself with reverse up tilt. Shield for a split second. Walling back air. A little empty hop into the back air. Empty hops definitely help out a lot with finding openings. And up smash to seal the deal. Obviously, he was trying to punish your back air, so you were able to cover yourself with up smash. Definitely a good mix of like. He definitely does have a good idea of like being able to cover himself after whiffing options, and walling options and all of that stuff. Um, Phillie's really good at like making reads against his opponent, and I think he's a lot more creative than the three other Yoshis in the state. Out of all the Yoshis, he's definitely the most creative one. He makes a lot of player reads. He'll do a lot of like mix ups, like that beer versus egg lay when Falco was recovering was it would have if it hit and he won the game off of that would have been a chef's kiss. That would have been like clip worthy. So that I think Phillie's Yoshi is very exciting to watch, and it was very cool to see. And one of the most well-rounded Yoshis for sure. I definitely learned a lot from watching that. I need to experiment a lot more with like just running. Like if I'm in the corner, I think Yoshi's one of the strong. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it every time, but just running off stage and like being able to double jump back on is something I should experiment with more because that might make just having an ability to retreat, which most people perceive to not have in the corner. Like every character can kind of do it, but Yoshi's the most flexible. Something I should definitely experiment with. Hell, I think I struggle a lot in the corner with Yoshi, so that might be the key to help out. But hopefully you found that insightful. And Philly, if you're watching, hopefully you're okay with me doing this. But until next time.